Hey guys, YouTuber100 here. Alright, and now here I am to talk about my thoughts on Spider-Man Homecoming. So I went to see the movie today, and yeah, I even got like this shirt for the movie, basically like a, yeah, it's actually like a movie, a shirt sponsoring the movie, just like Spider-Man, like the Spider-Man suit in the movie. So yeah, I just found this shirt online, and yeah, this was just an awesome shirt, so I just needed to get for this movie. So yeah, and yeah, this was a really, really awesome movie. I mean, just, yeah, this was just like the Spider-Man movie that was needed to be made. I mean, yeah, this was just a Spider-Man reboot that was actually done right. Yeah, Mark Webb and Andrew Garfield can eat their hearts out because, yeah, this is a Spider-Man reboot that actually does redeem the Spider-Man film franchise. Because, yeah, this was just a awesome movie and just an awesome thing to do for Spider-Man. And yeah, after 10 years, like, we finally have a Spider-Man movie to redeem it. In the Spider-Man name, because, yeah, this was just a awesome movie to see. I mean, this probably, probably the best Spider-Man movie of all time now. I mean, yeah, probably even higher than Spider-Man 2. I mean, it's hard to say because, I mean, both this and Spider-Man 2 really were great films, but I think this film may actually top Spider-Man 2. I mean, it was really that awesome. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this was just a great film to watch. Had great scenes in it, great acting, great jokes. Just, yeah, this was probably the most accurate Spider-Man movie of all time so far. This was just, yeah, it was just really accurate to comics, and yeah, just a really great film to see. Yeah, so, yeah, unlike the previous reboot where it was basically just copying a bunch of stuff from the original films, this film actually did do a lot of things differently. Like, this time, of course, like, Peter is much younger, like, he's around, like, 15 years old in this film, and, yeah, he's actually kind of, like, around a different crowd in this movie, like, he's not around Harry, Mary Jane, or Gwen, or any of those people. Yeah, in this movie, he's kind of around some different people. Like, in this movie, Peter's best friend is named Ned, and he's also, like, his crush in this movie is a girl named Liz, and he also, like, is around this girl Michelle, who's really kind of, like, not really that interested with him and stuff. And so yeah, and in this film, like, Peter, he's kind of like looked at as kind of a troublemaker and stuff. So they kind of did change around Peter's personality and stuff, and really not make him like the good student that he really was in the original films and stuff. And so, yeah, this film definitely did, like, do a lot of things differently, and I'm glad that they didn't make this another origin story. I'm glad that Marvel just decided to skip through the origin story with Spider-Man in these films and just go right to, like, after he's become Spider-Man and stuff and already got, like, his powers and stuff. I'm glad that they just decided to jump right into it with him. So it's good to see that. And yeah, in this film, like, it's basically, like, set after the events of Captain America Civil War and stuff, and Peter is just like trying to in this film just impress Tony Stark, and he's basically trying to show what he really is capable of doing as Spider-Man. And so, yeah, a real different story in this film than any other Spider-Man film before this. And yeah, in this film, like, you do, of course, like, have Robert Downey Jr., like, reprising the role as Tony Stark, aka Iron Man. But yeah, his role, he has, like, a very limited role in this. It's not like he's, like, a huge supporting character in this, and he's really, like, mentoring Peter throughout this entire film. Like, in this film, like, he does still, like, kind of act as a mentor towards Peter, but he's really not in the movie, like, all that much. Like, he has, like, a very limited time in this film. Like, when I was first, like, heard about the movie, I thought that this was going to be, like, sort of Tony, like, still, like, guiding Peter and just kind of, like, mentoring him to help him become an Avenger and stuff. But that's really not the case here. Like, he's just, like, having Peter kind of just learn things on his own and what he really feels he should do. Yeah, it's not like something between Iron Man and Spider-Man throughout this movie like you see up here, where, like, the two of them are, like, joining forces or whatever. Yeah, in this film, like, it's only, like, if Peter, like, gets into any kind of trouble or something that Tony comes and like gets him out of it or something. And then yeah, and yeah, as I'm talking about Iron Man, like it is pretty clever, like the way that Marvel has been using Iron Man in the MCU as of late. Like there hasn't been like another Iron Man movie in the last few years, like, but they have what they've been doing with him is really like clever. Like they're still having him live on by having him appear in the other movies. Like he was in Avengers: Age of Ultron, he was in Captain America: Civil War, and now he was in this movie. So yeah, it's an interesting way that they're kind of having Iron Man live on throughout the MCU. I mean, it probably would be good if they would actually give him like another solo film in the MCU. And yeah, there are like rumors that there may be another one in the works. But yeah, I don't know if it's actually become official yet. But yeah, I think it would be a good idea to kind of just give him like another solo movie in the MCU, and I guess we'll just have to see how it pans out. But yeah, but anyway, yeah, he's still in this film, and also Happy is also back, and in this film, like he has more of an appearance in this film than Iron Man does. Like in this film, Happy, he's kind of like being the one that Peter really ends up talking to a lot, and the one that really does like end up like talking to Peter and stuff throughout this film, and stuff. So yeah, oh, Happy does have like a bigger role in this than Iron Man really does, and yeah, in this film also like we also see like Flash Thompson. He's still in this movie also, but he's kind of portrayed a little differently in this film. Like this time, like, while he is still like, kind of portrayed as somebody who does like kind of like bully around Peter, like he is still like he's like his personality is kind of a little different. Like he is like more of a rival to Peter, and he just kind of wants to like take Peter's place on things. Like Peter ended up like bailing out of like some sort of competition and then stuff like a academic team or something, and Flash wanted to take Peter's place and stuff, and then yeah, but yeah, it doesn't really go anywhere in this film. Like there's really like yeah, the rivalry between Peter and Flash really doesn't go anywhere in this movie. Maybe it will in any future Spider-Man movies in the MCU. So yeah, in this film nothing really comes out of it. So yeah, but anyway. And of course, like in this film, we also have like Michael Keaton as Vulture, and yeah, he is really awesome in this film. And in this, we also do have kind of like the Shocker, or in this film, not really as the main villain, but he is like a supporting villain in this film. Like Shocker in this film is like kind of like a partner with Vulture or something. But yeah, Vulture is like the main villain of this movie, and it really is interesting, like what we do find out about him, like in this movie. So yeah, it was kind of like an interesting twist on Vulture in this film. Like, it's kind of like different than how Vulture really was originally like in the comics and stuff. But yeah, it's still like a good twist and shock in this film. So yeah, so yeah, there are definitely like a lot of good things about this film. One of the things that I really did like about this film is in the scene where like Vulture ends up like he like ends up like attacking a boat. Oh, like the Staten Island ferry. He like I was starting to fall apart. Peter, or like he ends up like trying to hold it together by with his webs, and he at one point like he's actually like holding on to the webs, and there's like a bunch of webs behind him, and I actually did like it. Like it was a reference to Spider-Man 2 back when he was like stopping the train with all of his webs. So yeah, it was a good like homage and reference to Spider-Man 2 with that bit. Yeah. Yeah, and in this film, like Peter, like he's like a lot more silly and goofy, and this is kind of like a Deadpool style Spider-Man film. Yeah, this is like how I think Spider-Man films should be now, where they have like the Deadpool feel to them, where they're really not like as dramatic as like the other Spider-Man films are. They really do like try to have like more fun with the character and stuff. So yeah, I do like that they're doing like a different take on Spider-Man this time. So, yeah, there's definitely like a lot of really great things about this film, and yeah, definitely really enjoyable film, and yeah, just a really great film. And yeah, I think that this may be so far the best superhero film of the year, and yeah, so far like this year's been really great for superhero films so far. Like, we had Logan in March, which was really good. We had Guardians of the Galaxy a couple of months ago, which was also really good. Had Wonder Woman last month, which was also like a really good to great film. And then we get this film, which is once again a really great film. So yeah, so far like the superhero films have been on a roll this year. I mean, last year like there were the big superhero films that came out, like Batman vs Superman, Deadpool, Captain America: Civil War, and all that. But I mean, the record was like, it wasn't really the greatest, because yeah, Batman vs Superman and Suicide Squad really weren't that well received. But yeah, so far like the films this year have all done really good. So yeah, I think that this is definitely like a better year in terms of like good. That's how the films turn out. Yeah, this has been a better year for superhero films so far. I mean, they may not be like as big of films, but yeah, they're still like, I think, doing better than having a better record so far than the films last year. So yeah, definitely like a really good year for superhero films so far, and yeah, this is definitely like an awesome film. So yeah, let me just talk a little bit about the film. So yeah, this is gonna contain some spoilers. So yeah, if you haven't watched the movie yet, you might want to like kind of stop watching here, or just like put this on hold until you have watched the movie. But if you don't care about spoilers, then yeah, feel free to continue watching. Alright, so yeah, just giving that out to you real quick. Alright, so as the movie kicks off, we see like it shows Adrian Toomes, aka like Vulture. Yeah, his company is like contracted to clean up the city, but then like Tony Stark's department like ends up like taking them over and basically putting them out of business. But apparently like Toomes is like persuading his company to end up like keeping the technology that they've already discovered and scavenged, and just create ultimate weapons to sell on the black market. And then it just shows like when Peter was actually recruited by Tony Stark, it shows like Peter like kind of like making a video journal for himself, to I guess keep the memories, and it just shows like he was starting to put on like his own homemade Spider-Man suit, but then it showed him then Happy presented like the suit that Tony had made for him, and it just showed him like kind of documenting the airport battle from Captain America: Civil War. Yeah. And then it just shows then after Tony like took Peter back home, like Tony was just telling him that he's really not quite ready to become a full-time Avenger yet. And that just showed like Peter was like still like in school and stuff, and really like he really was not like that popular and stuff, and really like Ned was really like Peter's only friend, really. Yeah. But it then like as Peter was like still like he was still like out as Spider-Man, and whenever he like went out as Spider-Man, he would just like tell like the people at school that he was under an internship for Tony Stark, and that's why like he really wasn't around very much. Yeah. And yeah, it was just then showing like him as Spider-Man just going out fighting crime and stuff. Yeah. And eventually, like at one point, like Peter like stopped some people from robbing a bank who were just wearing a bunch of Avengers masks. And then like eventually, like as Ned was like waiting for Peter in his room, like Peter snuck into his room in the Spider-Man suit, and then Ned then realized that Peter was Spider-Man. So yeah, it was like, I guess it was good that they had Ned discover Peter was Spider-Man really early into the film, rather than having it come like in the middle or like 2 hours into the film. So yeah, I guess that was a good move right there. Yeah. And then eventually one night, Peter then like eventually discovered like the associates of Toomes, Jackson Bryce and Herman Schultz, and yeah, they were like I won't. It started with like Jackson Bryce as Shocker, and it showed them like they were like selling weapons to a local gangster. And then Peter, like, ended up fighting them off, and he almost ended up drowning, but then, like, like, Tony's Iron Man suit came and rescued Peter, but it showed, like, Tony was actually just remote piloting the suit via Wi-Fi and stuff, and Tony was, like, at a party someplace else, and he was just, like, trying to, just tell Peter either not to really go that far yet, and really just kind of stick to being a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Yeah. And then eventually, Toomes ended up just inadvertently killing Bryce, and then Herman Schultz ended up becoming the Shocker. Yeah. Yeah. And Peter, like, was able to, like, get a piece of the weapon that Bryce had left behind. And yeah, Peter and Ned were just, like, studying the suit, and then they ended up study the weapon rather, and removed the power core. Yeah. Yeah. And then eventually, like they were just, like, trying to track down Herman Schultz, and then they eventually like tracked him to Maryland. And yeah. And then, like, Peter, like, at one point, like, he ended up, like, quitting his academic decathlon team for the Stark internship, but then he ended up, like, rejoining later on. And so then he went with the team to Washington, D.C. for their tournament. Yeah. And eventually, Peter and Ned ended up, like, disabling the tracker that Tony actually implanted in the Spider-Man suit, and they were able to, like, unlock the secret features in the suit. Yeah. Yeah. And then eventually, like at one point, after, like, Peter's team ended up, like, winning the tournament, but Peter, like, ended up missing it because he was, like, trying to stop Vulture from stealing weapons from a truck, but he ended up getting overpowered, and Peter ended up being trapped inside the truck, so he ended up missing it. Yeah, and then Peter, like, discovered that the power cord that they pulled out of the weapon was actually an unstable grenade, and the team was, like, touring the Washington Monument, and Ned was carrying around that grenade, and then it ended up exploding. And then, yeah, the team ended up being trapped in an elevator, but Peter arrived and was able to save all of the team. And yeah, throughout this movie, like I was saying earlier, Peter, like, was having a crush on this new girl, Liz, that we really haven't seen before yet. Yeah. And then eventually, like, Peter then, like, came across, like, well, it's like the gangster that the Shocker was selling the weapons to before, and he eventually, like, revealed the whereabouts of Toomes. Yeah. And then once Peter confronted, like, Toomes and his gang, like, they ended up, like tearing the ferry in half, and yeah, like I was saying earlier, Peter was trying to stop it and hold it together, but then, yeah, Tony then arrived as Iron Man, and he ended up saving the ferry, and he ended up, like, restoring the ferry back together. Yeah. And then afterwards, like, Tony was just, like, really confronting Peter for being so reckless and basically disobeying Tony's orders before. And then he just then told Peter that him recruiting Peter really isn't working out, and so then he decided to take back the Spider-Man suit. And yeah, Peter was just, like, trying to beg Tony to let him keep the suit, because Peter was telling him that he's nothing without the suit, but then Tony just told Peter that if he's nothing without the suit, then he shouldn't have it. But that's kind of like a hypocritical thing to say, because what can Tony really do without the Iron Man suit? So, yeah, just look who was talking there. Yeah. But then afterwards, like, Peter then just resumed his normal school life. And yeah, like Aunt May then could like see some changes in Peter here, and yeah, she was just telling Peter that he shouldn't hold the whole world on him and stuff. Yeah. And then Peter then just after like he was resuming his normal life, he eventually asked Liz to the homecoming dance. And then once he went to pick Liz up the night of the dance, Peter discovered that Toombs was actually Liz's father. And yeah, Toombs was driving Peter and Liz to the dance. And then Liz was just talking to her father about how Peter is an intern for Tony Stark and that he knows Spider-Man because yeah, earlier on, like Ned announced publicly that Peter knows Spider-Man well. Yeah. And then yeah, she was just talking about Peter and Spider-Man stuff, and then eventually like Toombs eventually like ended up figuring out that Peter actually was Spider-Man. And yeah. And then yeah, and then after he dropped them off, like he just sent Liz inside, but then Toombs was just talking to Peter, and he was just like thanking Peter for saving his daughter's life, but he also like told Peter that if he continues to interfere with his plans, he will retaliate. Basically, just telling Peter that if he will kill him and everyone he loves. And then yeah, and eventually, like, as they're dancing, Peter eventually, like, ended up, like, discovering that Toombs' plan was to hijack a plane and that was transporting weapons from the Avengers Tower, because, yeah, in this film, like, apparently, like, the Avengers Tower was ended up, like, being sold to someone else, and so then they had a new headquarters building that they were moving to, and so then, yeah, all the Avengers equipment was ended up being moved over to their new location. Yeah. And then yeah, Peter then just ended up fighting off in his homemade Spider-Man suit, which really didn't look very good. And then yeah, he then like fought off with Shocker again, but then after like Peter ended up like losing his web shooters and it looked like Shocker was about to defeat him, Ned then intervened, and he used Peter's web shooters to take down Schultz. And then, yeah, Peter then just raced over to try to confront Toombs. And then, yeah, he then ended up, like, racing back to Toombs' lair. And then, yeah, he was battling with Toombs, and eventually, like the buildings like ended up like collapsing, and Peter like ended up being pinned down by like some debris. And yeah, Peter like at first like he really was not able to get it up or break free, but he then remembered what Tony said about the suit, and then it was able to break free. And then he eventually like intercepted the plane, which like it was like around Coney Island, and then eventually, like, at one point, Peter and Toombs had, like, an open conversation, and then, like, Peter discovered that the Vulture's wings were gonna end up, like, exploding, and, yeah, Peter tried to, like, save Toombs, but, like, he just couldn't, like, hold on to the web, and then, eventually, it did explode, and, yeah, Toombs he ended up surviving. But then, yeah, he, of course, ended up, like, being arrested and, yeah, ended up being tried for his crimes. Yeah. And then, yeah, Liz, like, ended up, like, moving away with her mom because apparently, like, her father didn't want her to see him on trial. And so then Michelle was then, like assigned as the replacement for Liz as the captain of the academic team. And then at one point, like, she just said that she's also known as MJ, which I guess was just like a Mary Jane reference. Yeah. And then apparently Happy was like in a bathroom, and then yeah, he was just like telling Peter that Tony Stark wants to see him, and so then Peter was then taken to the Avengers' new headquarters building. And yeah, Tony was then just telling Peter that he was really impressed with what he was able to do on his own, and that he was sorry for taking his suit away. But then he just like gave Peter an invitation to stay and train to become an Avenger, and he even like designed a new suit for Peter. But yeah, Peter just ended up like turning down the invitation, and he just wanted to continue on with his normal life. And it also showed like Pepper Potts was also there, yeah, and stuff. And yeah, apparently like Tony was like had a press conference set up, but then yeah, he just told Pepper to just try to hold off the crowd and stuff, yeah. And then once Peter arrived back home, he discovered that Tony actually did return his suit. And yeah, and then showed Peter putting it on, but apparently Aunt May was watching. And then after she discovered Peter was Spider-Man, she just was like shouting, "What the fuck?" And then it just cut to credits before she actually said fuck. And yeah, the entire theater was just exploding of laughter, like as it was cutting to that. So yeah, guess now like we'll see what happens next in the movies now that Aunt May knows Peter is Spider-Man stuff. And so yeah, and yeah, now I'm actually really looking forward to seeing what they have planned next, because it looks like Peter's next appearance in the MCU will be in the next Avengers. And yeah, I am really looking forward to seeing what they plan to do with him next, especially now that like in Infinity War, like there's going to be a lot more Avengers than for him to interact with than there was in Civil War. Like now, like in Infinity War, like there'll be more characters for him to interact with. There will be like Hulk, Thor, the Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, Doctor Strange is supposed to be in there, and there's going to be a lot more characters in Infinity War than there was before. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what they plan to do with him next. And since that will probably be his next appearance. And so yeah, this definitely was a really good Spider-Man film, and definitely like a really great way to like give him his own film for Marvel. So yeah, Marvel definitely like really pulled it off with this, and definitely gave Spider-Man a very good homecoming. So yeah, and yeah, like I said before, I really do think that this so far is the best superhero movie of the year. And I think that this probably will stay. I mean, there's still 2 more to go throughout the year. There's still like the next Thor and Justice League, and both of those are coming out in November. And so yeah, but I think that this movie will still end up being better than the Justice League movie will. But who knows? Maybe the Thor movie, maybe that could top this. But yeah, who knows? We'll just have to wait and see how the next Thor movie will turn out. But yeah, this is definitely like a really, really great film. I definitely recommend that you go see this film. It is definitely like a really great film. Alright, so that's all I have to say about Spider-Man Homecoming. It was definitely like a really great film, and I definitely recommend it. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and yeah, let me know your thoughts on the movie if you've seen it yet by the time you watch this film. Alright, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yeah, and now that I've gotten this done, now I will be getting into the Land Before Time review. So yeah, my Land Before Time reviews will begin up next. So yeah, stay tuned for those coming up throughout the rest of the month of July. Alright, but anyway, yeah, so yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.